Welcome to the Nikki Clarke Show. I am your host, Dr. Nikki Clarke, and the show is where we share authentic stories, courageous conversations, and inspiring journeys that remind us of the resilience of the human spirit. And today's guest is Dene Dubois, a writer, a mental health advocate, and founder of the BPD Raw Project, a lived experience initiative dedicated to reducing stigma and increasing understanding of borderline personality disorder. Dene is also the author of The Places I Didn't Belong, a powerful memoir that explores belonging, relationships, identity, and psychological recovery across Australia, Canada, and New Zealand. And through his writing and advocacy, he is helping people feel seen, understood, and empowered on their own healing journeys. His work reminds us that vulnerability is strength, healing is possible, and everyone deserves a place where they truly belong. So please join me in welcoming the amazing Dene Dubois. Welcome, Dene.
Thank you for having me on your show, Nikki. I'm honored.
Awesome. Well, it's a pleasure having you here. So let's get started. Tell us a little bit about yourself and the journey that led you to become a writer and mental health advocate.
Well, I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder probably about 8 years ago. When I think about it, it's probably from in my 30s, it probably started to hit me. I had different things where I didn't fit in. I wasn't heard. Basically, internally I felt right, but externally what I was getting back from people, it just made me push back. So throughout my journey, as you're aware, I'm an author just recently. The book's been out, probably about 3 months. So it's basically about my journey starting to realize that I had borderline. I found that and you'll have to excuse me, I'm a bit nervous. Basically found that we'll go back a little bit. So my childhood was very mixed. I had a bipolar mother, semi-alcoholic father, compulsive gambler, and I never really had a childhood. So when my mother was in her mania, I basically had to look after her. So there were situations where she would be in the height of distress. And as a child at the age of 7, I actually had my father tried to have me charged by the police because I was so distressed and I wanted it just to stop. I ended up actually hitting my mother with a fry pan. And my father tried to have me charged. The police actually laughed it out. It was like, how could you do this to a child? So that was the start of my trauma. And I really didn't have a childhood. So at a young age, I learned to care. So throughout my adulthood, I was running into people and I didn't look after myself. I was caring for others. So throughout my journey, I will go to how I started my project. About six years ago, I walked into a pop-up shop in New York, which was so powerful. I had goosebumps the whole time I was in there. It was basically walls covered with letters. So these are letters of hope, letters of despair, letters of lost love. So it wasn't meant for the recipient. It was just meant for the world to see. I was in tears, Nikki. It was unbelievable, the power of it. So what led me to BPD Raw is I went through a court. I was working all my life with my severe trust issues. I found it difficult to stay in one job. My last job was my dream job. so I basically was helping people with disabilities find employment.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, that led to discrimination. I got discriminated against. It ended up in court. And through that, I learned, oh my God, I have a voice that needs to be heard.
Mm-hmm.
So I started joining groups on Facebook around borderline personality disorder. And
Mm-hmm.
it just went from there. I thought, golly, there's no book out there that really talks unfiltered about borderline personality disorder. It's all clinical.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've learned with borderline, it is one of the most stigmatized mental illnesses out there. And the best thing for us is lived experience. I'm not putting anything against any therapists or anything like that, but I've spoken to so many people and they have said, you talk better than my therapist. I've learned so much more in 5 minutes talking with you than I've learned anywhere. So I decided groups can be toxic. They can be toxic. So someone will put a story out on the Facebook group and it will basically affect someone in a negative way. So it ends up people are attacking them. And so then people think, oh my God, I can't speak up anymore. So by doing this, they can give their story out to the public without being attacked. So they'll have their voice and will also educate the public. We're not animals. We're nothing like that. All we need is understanding. We feel so much love for people. And if we have a partner or people are understanding, can you imagine how much better we would feel in ourselves?
Right.
So yes,
Absolutely.
so with this, it has grown significantly. I looked at the statistics on my page today, just before I joined you. In 28 days, I've had 15,000 views.
Wow. Brilliant.
It overwhelms me because, of course, with my trust issues, this is difficult for me. I sort of look at it and think, okay, but I need to see the evidence. I know what you're telling me, but I need to see the evidence. But I'm getting there. Now I'm getting excited. This is making me want to get up every day, look at my computer. Oh my God, a new letter, a new letter. This is amazing. Amazing. And like, I even learned that New York the other day had walk for BPD. I want to get this sort of thing in Australia because it needs to get out there. And that's my story. This is what's led me to today. And I'm excited. This is going to happen.
This is brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing this, powerful origin story. So your memoir, The Places I Didn't Belong. I mean, that's a powerful title. And you spoke about, its inspiration. But let me ask you, Dene, what does belonging mean to you today?
Being seen. That would be being seen and understood.
Brilliant. Throughout your journey across Australia, Canada, and New Zealand, what lessons did you learn about identity and self-discovery?
I learned you can't run away from your problems. So I moved to Canada on a holiday. So I was just on a holiday and I met someone that I thought was the perfect person for me, and I got married. And it didn't work because it wasn't. So what I've learned also is throughout the good and bad, you have to take a lessons from it. Otherwise you don't grow. So I've learned, so the Australian, Canada, New Zealand was over about 10 years. So in Australia, I'm a gay man, and people don't normally hear the history of Australia. I'm not a proud Australian, and I'm sorry to say that, I'm not. The history behind Australia, how we treated our Aboriginals, not many people in the world hear about this. And to be honest, I'm a little bit ashamed about that. And I've also found that Australia can be terribly homophobic and racist. And yes, when they say the lucky country, I'm not sure about that. So it was a journey of discovery to find my place. I found Canada was a very accepting and loving place. I felt at home there. But throughout the journey, now that I'm back in Australia and I didn't ever want to return,
yes,
this is the place I need to grow first before going anywhere else.
Understood. What do you hope readers take away from your story?
That mental illness doesn't mean you're crazy. It doesn't mean, look, even with borderline, we all have fantastic traits. Anyone with there's people with mental illnesses with high IQs that are doing amazing things. And you know why? Because there's less stigma around their particular disease. We need to stop the stigma around mental illness.
So true. So for viewers who are not familiar, can you explain what borderline personality disorder is?
It just means we feel more strongly about something. I'll give you an example. If someone upsets you and you're a bit filtered and you don't, we basically, I think, in ways, we say things to people when we're upset that people wish they could say. Does that make sense, Nikki?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the way I look at it, when you're dealing with someone with borderline, think that you're dealing with someone with their child in them. So our reactions can be very childlike. So it's in that way I understand I hate the word normal. In the normal community, when you're an adult, people don't want to be dealing with you like you're a child. But we can't help it. With how the brain works, we have different parts in our brain. And though you may feel that some of them are working against you, they're all working for the greater good. The only problem with the BPD brain is that pushes in front of everything else and puts the negativity. We know exactly what we're doing at the time we're doing it, but we can't control it. This is a brain thing. We can't control it. We have no control. But yeah, we go into defense mode automatically. And it's not something that it's not something that we've imagined that we've been hurt by. This is something we have been hurt by. And it may be someone that says a particular word that will, oh my God, and will click in our brain and immediately they will get a reaction out of us. So it's just understanding we need. Like if you're a parent raising a child, think of it that way. You're not going to attack that child for that. You're going to nurture them. So I don't think we're that difficult to deal with.
So what can families, friends, and communities do to better support someone living with BPD?
I think what they need to do is, so many people talk about BPD to people that don't have BPD. You don't need to be scared of us. We're open people. It's only because when I say that being open, I'm more open than most people with BPD because I have some strengths that they don't. But if we go back to the stigma and misconceptions, if we lessen them, more people will come forward. Because this is the reason that I've had to do this book, because if we do, we won't need something like this, because people will feel more comfortable expressing themselves in other ways. Because
Right.
in the book, some people have chosen to be anonymous as well. There are a lot of people out there. To be honest, I've got 245 followers. I've only got 30 letters so far, which is really good over that time. But once it's, I know we will end up with more than one book the way this is going.
I hope so. It'll help so many people to come out of, the shadows and to be empowered by your
Yes.
journey. Absolutely. You talked about how you were able to overcome, and a lot of that was recognizing your own strengths. A lot of it was self-awareness. How did that help you in your healing journey? Those values that you attributed.
To be honest, like I'm not a Christian, but I believe in a higher power, because I think someone's guiding me in some ways, because the
Mhm.
things that I've had in my life, I don't know why I've never had a mental breakdown.
Mm.
I dealt with drugs in my life and I never got addicted, even though I've got an addictive personality. There's been times when I should have been without nothing, but it's always just fallen in my lap.
Mhm.
What I've worked out is I need to stop panicking when something goes wrong, because when I stop panicking, everything seems to go right. If that answers your question.
Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Someone is listening to you right now and they feel isolated, Dene, or they feel misunderstood, or like they don't belong. What would you tell them right now?
That's a hard question. People out there care.
Mm,
Throughout my journey, I have run into people that can be mean, uncaring, but don't ever give up. Don't
right.
ever give up. There are people out there. I have heard some amazing stories of triumph through adversity. It's just, even in the, and like, I've got friends that don't have a mental illness, and they go through the same things. It's just
Hmm.
because of our feelings that we feel so deeply about it. I just think
Right.
we all have that strength. Just find that strength. And if you feel you have no one to talk to, join these groups, join these groups. Don't just reach out to willy-nilly. Be on these groups for a couple of months. You can work out by reading what these people are saying to reach out to the right people. Reach out to the BPD community. Speak to people
Yes.
with lived experience. That's the best way to go.
Mm, absolutely. Absolutely. The authentic storytelling, I think, is the best way to reach people. It's the heart connection of the real stories
Yes,
that make the greatest impact. And thank you for that. So
no
looking
problem.
ahead, Dene, you're welcome. What projects or initiatives are you currently working on?
So the book, I'm hoping that will be out in October, because we have our borderline personality disorder month. Um, I am looking at trying to get something like the New York Walk for BPD, because there's nothing like that in Australia. I've also found in Australia, with the book that I'm doing, I probably 2% are
Hmm.
Australians. I don't know why Australians don't want to speak up. I have no idea. I'm looking into that. And also men don't speak up. I think it's
Hmm.
probably because I'm also a gay man. I have that part of me as well as helping. But eventually, I think I want to form an organisation that isn't based on the clinical parts of mental health, that is based on the storytelling, because I think that's needed.
Absolutely. Well, very proud of the work that you've done. And I have to ask you, what legacy do you hope your work leaves behind?
This one may make me tear up because I was never really accepted by my family. And if there is a God or there is a heaven, I want my mum and dad to look down on me and say they were proud.
Mm, yeah, that's beautiful. Well, we're very proud of you and right behind you and support the work that you do to, just have people be empowered and rid themselves of their own kind of self-concept and the voices around them that stigmatize something that is just part of who they are. So thank you so much for that. So we're going to
No
round
problem
up
at all.
the questions. We're coming to the end, and I have some rapid fire questions for you. So these are just one word answers or short sentences. And here's the first question. One word that describes your journey.
Enlightening.
What does resilience mean to you?
Finding your truth.
A book that changed your life.
My book.
What gives you hope?
My advocacy work.
And complete this sentence. Healing begins with
Believing in yourself.
I love it. Dene, thank you so much for this, brilliant conversation. It's been so moving talking to you, and I look forward to, following you, supporting, and hope to have you back on the show when the book is published. Love to, learn more about what's happening with that. And I just want to say that your story and your heart was really prevalent with us. And I thank you so much for your courage, your honesty, and your advocacy, helping to break down the stigma, create understanding, and inspire hope for countless people across the world. So I know there are many people who want to connect with you, maybe be a guest on your show and buy a book. So how can they do that?
Well, they can go to bpdraw.com. That's my website. On there, you can find links to sharing stories. You can see my letter. There's also a link to the Facebook page. There's also, I will be honest with you, there is a GoFundMe as well, because unfortunately I can't do this all by myself. There's a lot of information. There's links to support groups. Everything is there.
Wonderful. Thank you again. It's been a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you to those who've stopped by to listen to the stellar conversation with author and advocate Dene Dubois. Please reach out to him on social media, connect with him, be a part of the amazing community that he's built, and buy the book that's coming out in October. That is exciting. So we thank you for joining us here, the Nikki Clarke Show, where stories transform. So be inspired, be transformed, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Bye.